First circle, Limbo. Limbo represents the outermost circle of hell, a realm of profound melancholy rather than physical torture. This unique space serves as the eternal home for virtuous non-Christians and unbaptized souls, including great classical philosophers and poets whom Dante deeply admired. What makes Limbo particularly poignant is its atmosphere of unfulfilled potential. Here souls exist in a state of peaceful sadness, dwelling in a castle surrounded by green meadows. They can think, talk, and philosophize, but they're forever separated from God's presence. This separation is their only punishment, yet it's deeply meaningful. The philosophical significance of Limbo reflects medieval Christian theology's struggle with the fate of good people who lived before Christ or never heard his message. Dante's portrayal is surprisingly compassionate, suggesting that while these souls cannot achieve paradise, they need not suffer extreme torments either. In many ways, Limbo serves as a commentary on human knowledge and its limitations. The great thinkers here achieved everything possible through human reason alone, yet without divine revelation, they could not reach paradise. This creates a bittersweet atmosphere where human achievement meets its ultimate boundary. Second circle, Lust. The second circle marks the beginning of hell proper, where active sin is punished. Here, souls who surrendered to lust are eternally swept up in a violent storm, forever buffeted by fierce winds, a symbolic reflection of how they allowed themselves to be carried away by their passions in life. The punishment is particularly poetic, just as these souls allowed their desires to blow them about in life. Now they're literally blown about for eternity. The winds never cease, offering no rest or respite, mirroring the restless nature of unchecked desire. Famous lovers like Paolo and Francesca demonstrate how love, when uncontrolled by reason, leads to destruction. Dante's placement of lust as the least severe of the major sins reveals his medieval worldview. While sexual sin is serious, it stems from love corrupted rather than pure malice. This circle's position suggests that sins of passion, while damning, are less grievous than sins of calculation and reason. The swirling winds also represent the confusion and chaos that result when passion overwhelms reason. These souls, though damned, retain their human form, suggesting that lust, while destructive, doesn't completely destroy one's humanity like the deeper sins do.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Third circle, Gluttony. In the third circle, those who overindulged in food and drink endure an eternal cold, dark reign of filth and refuse, watched over by the monstrous Cerberus. This reign never stops, creating a putrid slush in which the gluttons must lie. The symbolic significance is clear. Those who made material pleasure their god in life are forced to wallow in filth forever. The punishment perfectly mirrors the sin. Just as they consumed without thought or moderation in life, now they're forced to consume endlessly, but only pollution and waste. Cerberus, with his 3 mouths constantly eating, represents uncontrolled appetite. His presence mocks the gluttons, showing them a grotesque reflection of their own uncontrolled desires. The souls here lie prone in the muck, treating others as mere obstacles, just as they did in life through their selfish consumption. This circle demonstrates how gluttony isn't just about food, it represents all forms of mindless consumption. The cold rain stands in stark contrast to the warmth and comfort these souls sought in life through their overindulgence, showing how pursuit of physical pleasure ultimately leads to spiritual emptiness. Fourth circle, Greed. The fourth circle houses both the greedy and the wasteful, forcing them to eternally push heavy weights against each other in a cruel cosmic game. This circle demonstrates the futility of both hoarding and squandering wealth, as both extremes represent a misunderstanding of material goods' proper use. The souls here are rendered unrecognizable, symbolizing how the pursuit of wealth can erase one's humanity. Their eternal task of pushing weights against each other represents the meaningless nature of their earthly pursuits. Just as gold had no real value in death, their eternal labor produces nothing of value. Watched over by Plutus, the demon of wealth, these souls demonstrate the ultimate futility of material obsession. The constant clash between hoarders and wasters shows how both extremes are really two sides of the same coin. Both groups failed to understand the proper role of material goods in human life. Fifth circle, wrath. The fifth circle presents a murky swamp called the River Styx, where the wrathful actively fight each other on the surface, while the sullen gurgle beneath the waters. This dual punishment shows the two faces of anger, hot rage and cold sullenness. The actively wrathful tear at each other eternally, just as they did in life, demonstrating how anger perpetuates itself in an endless cycle of violence. Meanwhile, the sullen lie beneath the water, choking on their own bitterness, representing those who bottled up their anger and allowed it to poison their souls. This circle's design brilliantly illustrates how both explosive rage and repressed anger lead to the same destination. The muddy water represents how anger clouds judgment and reason, while the constant fighting shows how wrath destroys not only its targets, but also those who harbor it. The placement of this circle at the border between upper and lower hell is significant, suggesting that wrath represents a turning point in human sin, a place where passive sins begin to transform into active malice. Sixth circle, heresy. The sixth circle contains flaming tombs where heretics are eternally imprisoned, suffering within red-hot sarcophagi. This punishment carries deep symbolism. Just as these souls denied the immortality of the soul in life, they are now trapped in death like tombs for eternity. The burning tombs represent the self-imposed intellectual prison of those who chose to reject spiritual truth. Unlike earlier circles, where sins were primarily physical or emotional, heresy represents a deliberate choice to reject divine truth, making it a sin of the intellect. What makes this circle particularly striking is its silence and order compared to the chaos above. The tombs are neatly arranged, suggesting how heresy often presents itself as rational and organized thought, while actually leading to spiritual death. The heat of the tombs also represents the fire of false knowledge that consumed these souls in life. This circle holds special relevance in any age where competing ideologies clash. It raises questions about the nature of truth and the consequences of rejecting established wisdom, while also warning about the dangers of intellectual pride. The punishment suggests a permanent separation from truth as the natural consequence of deliberately choosing falsehood. Seventh circle, violence. The seventh circle presents one of hell's most complex architectures, demonstrating how violence permeates different aspects of existence. This circle's three-ring structure reveals Dante's sophisticated understanding of violent sin and its various manifestations in human nature. The first ring, the river of blood, Phlegethon, serves as a powerful metaphor for how violence returns to consume its perpetrators. Centaurs patrol the banks, shooting arrows at souls who try to rise above their assigned level, representing how violence requires constant enforcement to maintain order. The deeper the soul is submerged, the more blood they shed in life, creating a literal measurement of their violent acts. The second ring's forest of suicides presents one of hell's most haunting images. These souls, having rejected their human bodies in life, are denied human form in death. Transformed into gnarled trees, they can speak only when wounded, their words coming through bleeding branches. This punishment illustrates how self-violence doesn't end suffering but perpetuates it. Nearby, the squanderers who violently destroyed their resources are eternally hunted by black dogs, representing their inner demons. The third ring's burning desert shows how violence against God and nature inverts the natural order. The rain of fire falling on burning sand creates an environment hostile to all life, mirroring how these sinners acted against the principles of creation. Each group here, blasphemers lying flat, sodomites running continuously, and usurers crouching, demonstrates different ways humans can rebel against divine order. What makes this circle particularly profound is its demonstration that violence isn't just physical assault, it's any action that destroys what should be preserved, whether that's human life, one's own existence, or the natural order established by divine law. Eighth circle, fraud, Malebolge. The eighth circle represents Dante's masterpiece of moral architecture. Malebolge, with its 10 concentric trenches carved into rock, resembles a massive stadium of suffering, each level revealing a more sophisticated form of fraudulent sin. The circle's structure itself tells a story. Unlike previous circles, the fraudulent are separated into distinct categories, showing how fraud requires careful classification because of its deliberate nature. Each bolger, trench, is connected by bridges, allowing viewers to observe the punishments below, making this circle a theatrical representation of divine justice. The punishments here are particularly creative and symbolic. Panderers and seducers march in opposite directions, whipped by demons, representing how they drove others to move against their nature. Flatterers swim in human excrement, literally immersed in the filth that came from their mouths. Simonists are planted headfirst in holes with flames burning their feet. The later trenches become increasingly horrific. Corrupt politicians boil in pitch, resembling their sticky-fingered dealings. Hypocrites wear beautiful golden cloaks made of lead, crushing them with the weight of their false appearances. Thieves suffer constant transformation by serpents. False counselors become living flames, consumed by the fire of their own deceitful advice. The final trenches contain the sowers of discord, physically split apart as they split others in life, and falsifiers afflicted with diseases representing their corruption of truth. Each punishment demonstrates the principle of contrapasso, the punishment fitting the crime. Ninth circle, treachery. The ninth circle presents hell's ultimate horror, a vast frozen lake representing the complete absence of God's love. This final destination serves as Dante's masterpiece of symbolic justice, where the worst sinners are literally frozen in their betrayal. The circle's 4 rounds present a descending scale of treachery, each named for history's great traitors. Kaina, named for Cain, who killed his brother, holds family traitors frozen up to their faces. These souls are placed face down in the ice, denying them even the ability to weep as their tears freeze in their eyes. And Tenora contains political betrayers frozen more deeply, with only the backs of their heads visible. These souls have the ability to speak, but their words freeze around their mouths, symbolizing how political treachery freezes the bonds of civic trust and communication. Ptolemaia, holding those who betrayed guests, presents a uniquely horrifying punishment. Souls here are frozen face up, their tears forming crystalline visors over their eyes. Most terrifyingly, some of these traitors' souls arrive here before their bodies die on earth. At the lowest point lies Judica, where traitors to masters are completely entombed in ice. At the very center, Satan himself is frozen, his 3 mouths eternally chewing Judas, Brutus, and Cassius, who betrayed their masters. The use of ice rather than fire in this final circle carries profound meaning. While fire can represent passion or purification, ice represents death of love itself. These traitors exist in a state of complete spiritual death, removed from even the dynamic motion of other damned souls.